Hello viewers, well it's time for more content on Grid Legends. This time taking a look at the return of the story mode. I'll be chiming in now and again just to talk a little bit about it. Not going to go through the whole story here and spoil it, but we are going to look at the first 6 events, and I'm going to talk more about the driving aspect rather than anything else at this stage. But we will watch the introduction to Grid Legends and let's see how it sets the scene of the game.
And that's Raven West, Nathan McCain and Laura Carvalho leading the charge here at Strada Alpina.
With Seneca's Yume Tanaka hot on their heels and has been for the last 8 laps.
Could this be the race where she makes Grid World Series history?
Valentine Manzi, a one-man army in the midfield, trying to gain ground but being blocked by North Point.
I can't get through. Tell them to defend.
I woke up in a great mood that day. The weather was perfect. Team was finally getting noticed.
Number 22 defends their position.
Nice one, 22. Keep pushing.
Seneca has been on a magic carpet ride this year.
Yume Tanaka now, Carvalho in her sights, poised for the overtake, she commits!
Raven West forgets. It is easier to chase than it is to lead.
And she's through!
This proves beyond doubt that Raven West can be challenged and will be challenged.
Yume was definitely on form, but there were a lot of laps to go. My focus was the same as always. Just close the gap, whatever it takes.
Laura, get the position back.
I'll try.
Leave it to me. I won't let her pass.
It's McCain versus Tanaka, an unbelievable race for Seneca.
Pressure. No, screw that. Look, if these idiots can't keep their cars on the track, it's their problem.
Tanaka spots a gap.
It's all or nothing!
McCain doesn't like it.
Contact! Tanaka spins out, North Point have nowhere to go. This is a huge incident. Tanaka into the wall, Manzi sideways on the grass. Seneca number 21 out, number 22 damaged, debris littering the track. This is unbelievable!
So you don't take any responsibility for what happened?
Hell no.
Okay, 22, there's too much debris on track. We need you to come in.
That's a negative. Do not retire the car. I repeat, do not retire.
Ado, I'm seeing significant damage to 22. And no response from Yume. Is she okay?
Medics are on the scene, that's all I know. Just focus on the race.
Keep me updated. Can you confirm race strategy?
Look, half the field can't finish. If we do, we're in the points. We can't quit.
Understood. 22, finish the race.
Go.
Okay, so racing to the finish. Now we've seen Raven West there, who are used to winning all the time. Finally, they have a competitor who can beat them, and it looks like the driver takes him out. So goodness me, all that winning and then a little bit of desperation, and we end up with a big crash. So now I'm playing here with my Le Mans car with a control pad, hence I'm a little bit heavy-handed and all over the place. But either way, the car works well, everything works well, and I go on to win this first event, and then we get started on the game and introduce some of the new characters. First, of course, picking my difficulty, I went with Expert this stage rather than Legend, but we will investigate this on a stream, hopefully. In fact, the stream may be running at the time this video is up, and probably will be taking a look at the game. So if you take a look on Twitch, you'll see me playing Grid Legends. Let's see what they have to say.
And that's Raven West, Nathan McCain and Laura Carvalho leading the charge here at Strada Alpina. Tanaka spots a gap.
It's all or nothing! Contact!
In a situation like this, all you can do is hope that the drivers are all okay.
So we go back 16 months earlier and we see the build-up of the story to this point, the rivalries between the drivers and the teams, the pressure on the team boss and putting together his team and getting the kind of results that he needs. So that all gives you that sort of racing feel, if you like. It's very much Drive to Survive, giving you an insight and various interviews with everybody involved into the stresses and strains of those guys and gals, and making sure that they can get the results that they need to stay on top or to compete for them and their sponsors. So there we are. We see our man here frustrated. His driver's not doing the business, and so it's time for me to get involved and show them that I am the man. So off to London then for the London race. And it's funny, you know, the game's just running better than the early builds. Everything's being polished a bit more. And I'm now racing around. Now I'm using my wheel now. Now the wheel's not fully set up for the game yet. I'm using a compatibility mode of sorts. But it's running really nicely. Really nicely. I'm able to position the car where I want to. I mentioned on an earlier video about the curbing at Brands, anything like that. Well, I haven't gone back to Brands yet, but I can tell you that the game's really handling nicely. Already I was finding it fluid, enjoyable. I was able to be more aggressive with the car. The more practice you do, the more aggression you can put in. The AI was working well given the difficulty setting. I don't know how hard it gets at this stage, so I really couldn't say on that at the moment. That's something we're going to look at on a later build. Not long now, but either way, there's always last minute improvements and polishing being done. And I like the tarmac, or you know, I often talk about tracks having that lived-in look, and you can see the tarmac there on the surface, just giving you that feeling that cars have been racing around here aggressively, burning up their tyres, that lived-in feel. And I like that. It gives you a great feeling of speed. So we move on from there to a bit of open wheel racing. I'm not going through the whole game at this stage. And of course we're back in London for another of the London circuits in open wheel. And I always enjoy open wheel. So in the car and tight first corner. And I get taken out, but we'll cut past that and carry on with the racing probably, don't we? Yes, we do. So I ended up last place, being taken out, and then that way I thought, right, this is it now. I've got to close up through the field, and I'm on it now on this lap. I'm literally throwing it aggressively around every corner I can. With my wheel and the dash in this position, it feels great in my rig. I really feel like I'm in the car. And it's all running so fluidly as well. You know, it's really sort of polished in terms of the frame rate is so well optimized that given all the detail that we see here, lots of colors and textures and details in the environment. And then we're moving on to our next challenge, which is again a bit of a test session. Obviously the driver and the team here is not doing the business, so it gives me an opportunity for me to step in and show what I'm capable of. And we can see here the team here still pushing their driver. And this brings the mechanic into it more now in terms of what he brings to the team and what he can bring to you as a driver. Can you drive the car he builds? So Crescent Valley. Let's return here now. We're under some pressure to display our skills. And I go out there, and this is again at lap 2. We're going to finish this lap 3. Now I'm not using the racing line. I decided to obviously go for the expert setting, which meant no racing line. Not really a very good idea when you're playing grid to go in without a racing line. You've just got to use visual driving style, and it's not easy to get up to speed really quickly on brand new tracks at night with no racing line. But either way, track was quite intuitive, car was intuitive, and apart from them ignoring what they say when they say go flat, don't go flat. You know, use your head, consider your racing line, and unlike me, and gradually you'll get some better lap time. So tight couple of corners at the end here, but again it's driving really nicely and smoothly. The car's not oversteering, understeering, doing anything that I'm not expecting. The car is surprisingly intuitive in line with the nature of the car I'm driving. They're all very different to drive. I'm liking that so far. So lots of things to like about what I'm seeing with the driving in the different cars. Now off to Moscow. It's a chilly day. See that night glow from the lights. I like that. Just little details that give you a feeling of vibe of being there. And I try a couple of different viewpoints. I can't drive from behind the car with a wheel. Well, generally it depends on the game, but I do drive a little bit behind the car here because I just want to show you guys the car model. Bit of variety on the channel. And look at that. Nice detail on the graphics, streets, environments. been a muscle car. Now, when you're driving these cars, you've got much longer braking distances. Obviously, it doesn't handle in quite like what I was just driving. And it takes a bit getting used to. I realised I had to get some way up the front. And I think I spent an entire lap here knocking around 14th place, just trying to find a way through. And it just wasn't happening for me at this stage. So in the end, I decided to go in car and get serious. And then I really have to push a bit more. But having said that, one, I didn't know where I was going, and two, I completely forgot about the map that's on the side. And I wasn't looking at that at all. I was mentioning that earlier, wasn't I? When I was talking about going around and removing the racing line. I completely forget there's a map in the corner you can look at. I'm just looking ahead at what I'm supposed to be looking at. In car, let's talk a bit about viewpoints for a second. You've got a couple of three internal cameras. Wow. If only more games had this available, that would be great. So you've got 2 forward dashes without the steering wheel in view and one with the steering wheel in view. Other racing games could learn a thing or two about this. Wonder what they are. So it's nice to see that those options have been put in there for gamers. And for me, I quite like using both of them. The 2 of the forward cams that have their uses at different times, especially in driving position. This felt like a really natural driving position when I was driving along. The scale and the field of view. Everything felt right. Also, nice textures on the cockpits. The cockpits are really well modelled, as is all the elements of the car in car. Some of the nicest cockpits I've seen in a game. Nice lighting as we avoid a car that had a spin. There's always these challenges going on, so you've got to stay alert. But be late on the brakes as you can, and if you get it too late, and eventually I started to get a bit pushed up against the wall there. He wasn't letting me by, was he? So again, you do get this behaviour from the AI, where sometimes they try and block you. So you've got to be alert at times like that. So down this straight on the brakes, let's see, I'm trying to get the car in. Not too bad at that stage. You see I'm opposite lock there. I'm literally spinning the wheel trying to keep the car going. So you really do need to get into bullet mode when you're driving a car like this. And I'm going a bit too late on the brakes there, so you need to get into bullet mode. What it is, that if the back end can stand out very easily. Avoiding another crash car. It's the tight one here. Oh, just slipping through there. But you know, man on a mission. I'm determined to try and win. Alas, we're not going to see the end of this race because that's for another day. But either way, I very much enjoyed the intensity of the driving experience. I'm going to shut up in a moment and let you enjoy a race. We go to an eliminator mode now. Eliminator modes are always quite tense, lots of action, get a bit desperate. And this is one of those modes where I think music, whether you like music in the game or not, it really does add to the overall atmosphere of everything that's going on. So I'm going to leave you for a moment. I'm going to come back after this as we take a look at a race of the Yokohama docks, elimination mode. First time running it, no idea where I was going. This was great fun, enjoyed it, thoroughly enjoyed it, and I can tell you, I do leave the finish this time, and it's a very tight finish. So I'll leave you with this.
Team player and not a lone wolf. Our strong commitment to teamwork will bring...
We need to aim to stay competitive with Volt. That's our path to the Pro League.
Wow, that was closer than I expected, but thoroughly enjoyed it. And I got used to driving the cars, and you know, the way the car got light in the high-speed section was exciting, fun to drive. You felt like a badass. That was everything a grid event should be, right there. That's a proper grid race. Of course, my teammate here, who's quite frankly, I'm walking all over at this stage. It's all over for us. She's getting a bit annoyed. She knows she's on the way out. I've got a good relationship with the mechanics and the sponsors, and I'm saying I'm the #1 driver. Cheerio. So that's what's happening at the moment, and I'm getting domination. And now I'm saying I want a #2 driver who does exactly what I want them to do. Bit of a lackey. That way maybe I can win a few world championships. That would be ideal for me. Thank you. In fact, build me a car that only I can drive, and then my teammates have no chance. So off we go to Paris. Look at that, Eiffel Tower. Lovely. Now Paris, of course, was featured in Grid 2, wasn't it? And here we see these big trucks again. I've been watching these a few years ago racing around Adelaide, and my goodness me, these crazy trucks in Australia are amazing and bonkers. Well, the physics, I think, are excellent on these trucks, but they take a lot of getting used to. You really need to understand the cornering process, and I don't really know how to get speed out of them at the moment other than being really smooth. That's another odd thing about this grid. It's not about opposite lock into every corner. No, you need to have some finesse with the car. Lift off the power, brake nice and early, progressively accelerate into corners, sim style. It's where I'm going a little bit aggressive here because I don't know what I'm doing. You'll see as I progress through the race that gradually I understand how to drive these sections. And obviously I don't know where I'm going either, so I'm following everybody else. But picking up some braking points. When you're hitting the jumps, you do need to be square on. Otherwise, if you're a bit sort of skew whiff when you go off the jump, you will land that way, and that won't be good for you. And you need to constantly control your speed for the corners. Slow in, faster out. I say slow and fast out. There is a maximum speed that these trucks can take before they just start to lose it and understeer entirely. So you're constantly needing to balance the suspension to make it work for you. Very intense. And a use of bumper cam, why not? So a bit of bumper cam just to mix up the visual elements. So what are we doing? Flat out through this section. I hit the wall here before, so a little bit of a lift this time, just get in nice and early. That's fine. Didn't know that wall was coming anyway. Now I know there's a big braking point somewhere at the end. Where should I brake? Braking. That was later than I should have braked, but managed to get an overtake done, Daniel Ricciardo style, and through up to the next place. So we know that's working for us. Could have done with braking a little bit earlier than that, so we'll consider that next time. Crash across to the side, up on the inside, and getting it nicely set up for the jump. Bit skew whiff again, not just on the takeoff. You can see it threw me wide, lost loads of time, and you can't get the balance back and end up losing a place again. So slower is better to get yourself positioned correctly on those jumps. Hence that's why I give the information to you that I've learned along the way. Braking, too late braking. I need to brake earlier for that corner. Used a bit of the wall there and over the jump. Now I know I've got a nice wide corner to curve into here. Trying to find the line. Gentle again on the power, but it just rolled a bit too much. Lost a little bit of momentum just before the jump, but it was important to straighten myself. Again through this chicane. Nicer this time. Again, we know we've got the early braking point. Let's hit that. We're looking at the arrows in the floor this time. There we are. Braking nice and early. And that works well. It coasts us into the corner at a good speed. A little bit of trail braking, and away we go on to the next lap. So you're using your authentic sim racing skills on something like this as well, but because the braking distance is very intuitive to play, so the braking distances are shorter, you can balance the car a bit easier, little things in there to make it more fun for everybody. At the same time, it's strange how you've got the authenticity of what you would do. So if you're driving a racetrack that you know, like Brands Hatch or other tracks that are in the game, your braking points will be at, give or take, at a similar point, and you'll drive it in a similar style. You can just be more aggressive, brake a little bit later, get on the power a little bit earlier. You can be aggressive turning in through the corner and lean on the tyres. It feels really nice. It feels like you've got basically the best soft tyres in the world if you're a sim racer in terms of the driving style that you see on these different cars. So we're coming up now. We know where our braking point is. Might brake just a titty bit later. You can see how he's defending, like that. Nice. He's just defending a bit there, and I couldn't see a way through. Come up the inside. I would like to overtake him if I can here. Got a nose in. If you get your nose in, but you see I had total understeer through the exit once I got on the power. So God help him on the outside. And now we're on to our final lap of this grid race. And as I work my way around trying to combine some of the knowledge we've got, we can see we're getting better every time on all these corners, which means that when you guys do this race, you'll know first time. You'll all be brilliant having seen this video. No excuses now. Braking, 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 braking. Still a bit late on the brakes there, obviously. So it's coming off that corner. What we want to do is lift on the corner now, balance the truck out a bit, then get on the power. Then get on the brakes, and then you're ready for that corner. So we know that. We've learned how to drive it on these few laps. And now through the fast chicane for the final time. Bit closer than I'd liked, but we're okay. Will we close up on the leader? You can see the leader's actually got some good speed, so I don't think we're going to close up on him totally, but I'm doing my best. I'm not hanging around, giving it everything here. It's just no more speed at this stage. I would have taken him with one more lap, but had it not been for the accident on lap 1, we would have come home with a win. But either way, at least you guys can see the gradual improvement in the overall difficulty of the game as you work your way on. So that's it for a very quick look at the first 6 events of the story mode. I'm not going to go through the whole story mode here. No doubt I will put up the first hour or so of play on the channel when the game is released, and you can expect lots more coverage to come. And I'm going to be streaming this as well, likely streaming as this video goes live. So that's it from me for now for this very brief look at Grid Legends, and there'll be more from me very soon. Hello viewers, well thanks for watching the video today. Do like and subscribe, it supports what we do. Do become a YouTube member. YouTube Patreon supports all of our content you see on the channel, and of course lots of gaming from retro to modern games. I love it all in terms of racing action. So click on one of the 2 videos just there to find out more.